welcome back to Caps Hockey Review. I appreciate you joining me once again. Well, the Caps had a few big games against the Penguins we need to discuss. They had some playoff implications for both teams as well as the entire Eastern Division. Let's get to it. Caps Hockey Review right here, right now. And off we go. Caps Hockey Review underway once again. I appreciate you joining me. Well, as I said, Caps, two big games against the Penguins. What is on the line? Well, simply put, for both teams, you clinch a playoff spot. That's big. It's all kind of, known by now they're probably making the playoffs, but it's nice to have that reassurance, that pretty much guarantee. So let's dive into this, the Thursday night game first, because quite honestly, I really don't want to spend a ton of time on Saturday's game, but we'll get to that. Thursday, that was a good game. I mean, leaving out the fact that the Caps lost in overtime, it was a heck of a game for both teams. It was just back and forth. It was a real slugfest. Just each team firing their best shots at one another and seeing who's going to blink, seeing who's going to bend first. And it was really, really entertaining. Both teams had some lucky bounces. Both teams had some bad bounces. I'd say the bad bounces for the Caps caught up with them a little bit more. But overall, when you take into consideration that there was no Alex Ovechkin for the Caps, no John Carlson for the Caps, that's tough. To stand up and go toe to toe with a team like the Penguins, who themselves are missing Evgeny Malkin. So Ovechkin and Malkin kind of cancel out. And Caps missing John Carlson, that hurts. That hurts them a little more because, okay, you're missing Ovechkin. That messes with your top forward line, and that messes with your power play. Missing Carlson, top D pair's messed up. That further messes up the power play as well as the penalty kill. So there's a lot of adjustments that have to happen here. And we would see Michael Rothel slot in the forward slot, Trevor Van Riemsdyk slot in on defense. Both played pretty well. I would say Trevor Van Riemsdyk was very, very good. Michael Rothel, of course, is not going to replace Ovechkin in terms of scoring goals, and he didn't, but he was a serviceable player. He plays kind of that bottom six role, a little bit more of a grinder style, hits first and energy, get some shots, but played pretty well. There's not really too much to complain about in either Van Riemsdyk or Rothel's performances. The one thing I'll touch on is luck, because we've all kind of come to find out as hockey fans that luck plays a lot into hockey. Yes, skill's important. Yes, skill's great, and skill makes up a lot of it. But every once in a while, there's just that little bit of luck, either for you or against you, that just seems to make the difference. And that kind of went this way in this game. Of course, there were some mistakes as well. Just right off the top, probably the biggest one for the Caps, Nick Backstrom. The man holds the Capitals' all-time assist record, and it just looked like, is he trying to go for the Penguins record now too? Like, getting the Caps one wasn't enough. He's got to grab another one. Because that first Penguins goal on Thursday, that Kasperi Kapanen goal, that was just a sick little saucer pass Nicky fed right through the middle of the D zone. All kidding aside, all sarcasm aside, that is a play that can't happen. And what it comes down to is a player in Nick Backstrom who's very good, very, very good, very skilled, makes just ridiculous passes look easy. But you're in your D zone, you've got the puck on the wall, you've got a guy kind of streaking through the middle of the ice for the breakout, but there's two Penguins covering him. Just dump the puck up the board. You need a line change. Sometimes, oftentimes, I should say, there's an opportunity to make a very dazzling play, a very flashy play. But in that, there's also an opportunity to make a very smart, responsible play that is it going to lead you to a goal? Maybe, but probably not. But it's a play you need at the time. In this particular instance, Nick Backstrom just needs to get the puck up the boards, get it out of the zone. The last place you want to turn the puck over is in your own end of the ice. And that's exactly what happened. If there's no Penguins in the middle of the ice covering that pass, fine, make it. He can make it. But with two guys covering that thing, there's no reason that pass should have been made where it was. He should have just put the puck to the wall and gotten out of the zone. But he tries to, thread the needle on that little saucer pass, and Kasperi Kapanen absolutely made him pay for it. That was big. The Caps ended up losing in overtime. That goal makes a difference. It really does. And does it matter in this game for the regular season? Not really. But come playoffs, I talk a lot about playoffs, but they're right around the corner. The Caps have, as it sits now, they have 6 regular season games remaining. This is kind of the time you got to work the bugs out, you got to work out the kinks, and you got to get it all straight. You got to bring your A game, because come playoffs, that play matters. Everything matters in the playoffs. Everything's ramped up. Intensity, importance, everything's just bigger, more important, whatever you want to say. That's what it is in the playoffs. All these little plays matter. Every little play matters. So, needing a better result on that play in particular, and more plays. I mean, I won't sit here and say, it's crap on Nick Backstrom hour, because it's certainly not. He was far from the only player in these 2 games that struggled for the Caps. But looking past the Backstrom play, the Caps played really well. Considering you're missing Alex Ovechkin, you're missing John Carlson, these games are, if you can get a point out of them, if you can win them, that's great. If not, it's kind of, you're missing your 2 best players. They have a built-in excuse if they lose. The big thing here is they needed to clinch a playoff spot, which they did with that overtime loss. But looking more at the game as a whole, it was excellent for the Caps. It really was. They out-hit the Penguins, mercilessly out-hit the Penguins, almost, I think, double. They got more shots. I mean, that's what makes this Caps team tick. That's what makes them go. If they can get to the physical game, and especially against a team like the Penguins, they don't really have a lot of those gritty sandpaper type players who are going to stand there toe to toe with a Zdeno Chara, a Tom Wilson, and Alex Ovechkin, a Garnet Hathaway, and go check for check. I mean, they're not going to win that battle. So the Caps did a really, really good job of kind of keeping the Penguins off balance without hitting them. And that's the way this Caps team is built. They're a skilled team, but they're a big team. They're built on size. They're built on skill. And for the skill to work, they need to play the size game. They need to play the physical game. So they did that really well. Overall, I mean, it came down, it was a bit of a nail biter. Tom Wilson scores the game tying goal in the last minute of the 3rd period. So little bit of a dramatic finish, but that was great. It was a heck of a fun game to watch as a fan. Moving to overtime, the Caps certainly had chances. I mean, that they really controlled, right from the opening face-off, those first couple of shifts. And I don't know what it is against the Penguins in overtime for this team. Going back, the last time the Washington Capitals won a regular season overtime or shootout game against the Pittsburgh Penguins was October of 2011. I was a sophomore in high school when that happened. Like, I don't know what it is. Is it bad bounces? Is it just kind of the jitters? Is it the yips? Who knows? They probably deserved a little better fate. The Penguins go the other way, get a really good shift of their own, and end up putting the puck in the net. But the Caps probably deserved a little better. If not for that Backstrom play, maybe it turns out better, maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and dump on Nick Backstrom, but Thursday night's game was good on the whole. I mean, there's things they need to work on, need to tighten up defensively a little bit, but overall pretty good. Now, moving to Saturday's game, it's just a complete 180. It's that game was absolute hot garbage. Like there is nothing in that game that is worth diving into really talking about. It was just bad. The Caps were still without Carlson and Ovechkin, just of course kind of playing down again. Penguins still without Malkin. The big thing I'll say that probably happened in Saturday's game that didn't on Thursday, all the luck was kind of with the Penguins on Saturday. Like those first two goals that Brian Russ scored on the breakaway were just weird bounces, unfortunate for the Caps, super fortunate for the Penguins. But, some you, in some instances you kind of need to create your own luck in some ways. But that's beyond the point. I'm not going to dive into philosophical things or theoretical things here. This team looked very, very bad on Saturday. And it was very difficult to watch a lot of that game. I didn't watch the latter part of it, honestly. This team needs to find a way to get past the Penguins. They don't have a winning record against them this year. Now, are they going to see the Penguins in the first round of the playoffs? Probably not. One of these teams is going to end up number one, and the other is going to end up number two in all likelihood. So, if there's a playoff match between them, it won't happen until round two. But the Caps need to take these remaining 5 regular season games left, and they really need to kind of get things going, get on track, and kind of up that intensity, up that urgency a little bit. The other thing, just it's going to be important to get players back. That's something that's really out of their control for the most part. It's really just a matter of working hard and next man up mentality. So hopefully it seems like Ovechkin should be good for the playoffs. Seems like Carlson should be good for the playoffs. There shouldn't be anybody out that's going to be a significant difference come playoff time. As it sits now, that could change. Of course it could. But as it sits right now, the objective, I would say, now that the playoff spot is clinched, get your guys healthy, just up the urgency a little bit, and let's get back on the right track here. 2 losses, 1 out of 4 possible points. That's not an ideal way to finish out your season set with Pittsburgh, but you got a point. You clinched a playoff spot. Could have been worse. The last thing here that I'll touch on, the Caps goalie situation. This is very interesting because Peter Laviolette has come out and said the Caps will name a definitive starter in time for the playoffs. The concern here is that still neither guy has really jumped up and proven consistently that they deserve to be number one. Both had shutouts against the Islanders last week. That was really good. And each followed their shutout games up with a, kind of, okay-ish, kind of second game. And certainly consistency is key in the playoffs. So that's going to be a really interesting matchup or battle or however you want to put it. That's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. Because, yes, it was expected he would name a playoff starter, but as far as who it'll be, who deserves it more, that's Peter Laviolette's got to be playing this one close to the chest because it's anybody's guess. I mean, you could make a great case for Samsonov. You could make a great case for Vanacek. Both guys have been good at times. Both guys have been bad at times. I will say Vanacek was kind of the rock not the rock, the backbone. That makes a little more sense for what we're talking here. But Vanacek was the backbone of this team when Ilya Samsonov was out in COVID protocol. Same kind of situation. He played well on the whole, but he did have some games where it was just like, this is ugly. We need Samsonov back. And vice versa. I mean, Samsonov has had really good moments. He's had kind of iffy moments. He's had bad moments. It happens as a young goalie. So who the starting goalie is come playoff time, apparently there will be one. But as far as anyone's guess, I certainly don't have one right now. Maybe that'll become a little more clear in these next couple of weeks as we get more toward the playoffs. But we will hopefully get a really, really motivated Caps team, a better Caps team, and a healthy Caps team in time for the playoffs. Let's hope we see it. Looking for some signs. Hopefully, we'll see some against the Rangers.